This video contains highlights from my capture build session with Year 9 Season 2. Special thanks to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description to get the Rainbow Six membership. In Operation New Blood, Recruit is a full operator that is playable on all playlists, yes, including ranked. So you can play this operator with other operators, and you can customize them with cosmetics. Solus and Fenrir are being rebalanced to become easier to play against. There is a map filtering feature for standard playlists. You can play ranked, non-ranked, or all maps. There are improvements to the anti-cheat system and enhancements to the training modes. You can play the target drill for 60 minutes. Get the Rainbow Six Siege membership for exclusive access to new monthly content, a cosmetic bundle, legendary items, 10 battle pass levels, and 1 Bravo pack for just $9.99 a month or $79.99 a year. I'll show you some antics with Striker and Sentry, and then I'll yap for a bit. I got him.
Copper.
Op 4 eliminated all friendly.
Copper.
I'm just EPing. I got the other
Guys,
guy.
this is crazy.
Oh.
This might be Rocket League.
What? I just flashed by myself.
Oh dear.
Your
He's a
card.
master.
Got it.
Okay, goodbye.
In the corner.
Whoa!
He's in the corner too.
I'm stacking on you.
Whoa!
Nice.
Diffuser is no longer in possession.
To the right of that door.
Friendly operator remaining. The diffuser has been
Can't tell if I
secured.
downed or not. I lose these.
4 last stop
You don't.
standing.
You got this.
Never mind.
Nice.
Oh, Gunner,
There's
stay
one
here.
here.
Cash. Coming cash.
That's why I couldn't hear it. That's
Located by Op
barricaded.
4.
Dead now.
Not a
Bro. I got it.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, you can keep them up at the same time.
Down to 5 seconds.
What just happened?
Dead now.
Bro,
Mission failed.
oh, needing the closet.
You know, that's where the real it starts.
Mayonnaise part.
Why would you do that?
I honestly forgot.
You really want the
Listen,
C4 with
listen.
the shield?
Listen,
And
I can
Plan
make you one. I can make
Oh.
you a better
10
one.
seconds
One
needed.
sec.
Roy, did you
One
just
more.
destroy?
No. No. Look,
That's
give me
all
an
men are
angles.
good for.
Oh my. Poof. There you go. Now you are actually a salt pillar. I'ma feel safe.
God damn it.
What box is in here, sec? Oh, one sec. Oh, nice. Brick killed someone. One sec.
What?
Ah, it took her long enough.
One sec. Can you?
I'm about to kill another one. See?
Yeah.
I'm about to kill you now.
You doubled her kills from last game. Alright, let's get.
We have some time.
Yeah.
I'm so inspired.
Salt pillar.
Just make me think he's on you.
1 Op 4 remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Friendly
Calculated. So I would like to talk about the drama of adding recruits to ranked. Basically, the big thing that people seem to be flustered about is the whole implication that you can have what is essentially a fully dedicated solo queue character. Now, if I'm being 100% honest, I do think both of these characters are actually quite good in a self-sufficient, independent way. I'm still very, very hesitant to make the call as to whether or not they're going to have much play in a competitive environment. I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't watched a lot of competitive. I am recording this before I go to the Manchester Major, but aside from Manchester, that will be the first time I've watched any CG sports in a pretty long time. As far as I can tell, Deimos is getting a decent amount of play, but that is pretty much all that I know. So the somewhat TDM favored meta isn't gonna go away overnight because Solus and Fenrir are finally getting nerfed, although that nerf is very much welcome. And that's not gonna happen with these new recruits, or should I say Striker and Sentry. I'm gonna call them the recruits just to make it easy. It's gonna take some time for me to get used to saying Striker or Sentry. But these characters are quality of life changes. Good quality of life changes, in my opinion. I never really understood the point as to why you couldn't play Recruit in Ranked. I felt that it took up space. In the broader context of the way the game presented itself, it didn't seem to make much sense to me. But these characters are not going to reinvent the wheel, right? What makes the Recruit stand out from other characters is just the fact that you can run 2 secondary gadgets at a time. So those 2 secondary gadgets, the power of both of them being on your person, is tantamount to the power of 1 primary gadget. Or at least that's what the implication is as their contextual place is in the game. Now, the reason that people seem to be perturbed by this is because it gives a character a lot of self-sufficiency. So, for example, a combo you can do is with an EMP and a hard breach. Another combo you can do is with a deployable shield and a C4. But when I looked at other combinations of what you could potentially do with the gadgetry, it did take me a long time to actually think and consider, are there really any other combinations that characters are really going to employ here? Are players really going to gravitate towards anything but those individual things? Maybe they'll run frag grenades and stun grenades in order to burn out an ADS. Maybe they'll run proxies in C4. That was something that content creators were toying around with when I was playing the capture build. But that particular gameplay loop is something that can take some time to happen. So I think that it's not as flashy and big and in your face as other, more enticing perhaps, character designs. But for somebody who's been playing Siege a really long time and understands the value of that gadgetry, I really, really do feel like these characters are kind of a one-size-fits-all pick. I could actually see myself playing Striker quite a bit in Ranked just out of comfort, right? I really like the M4 as a primary weapon. It's one of the best assault rifles, so Striker can play a pretty decent entry flex hybrid. I don't see anything particularly wrong with bringing a Striker on a number of different environments because she can fill in pretty much any gap that you have. Now, is the gap filling quite as noticeable as, say, Thermite for hard breach? No, it isn't. And there are going to be contexts where you're going to be hampered by the ability to not, say, throw hard breach from a distance like with Ace. But for all intents and purposes, if you're not super bent out of shape in terms of optimizing every single round you go into 100%, you just want a plug-and-play operator where you don't really have to think too much about the decision-making in terms of whether you bring the operator or not, these recruits are gonna be up your alley. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for the game. I do like the way that they present themselves. I like the art. I like the designs. I like the animations. It's something that I kind of think speaks to an older style of gaming that wasn't quite as sensationalized and wasn't quite as flashy and glitzy and really, placing big emphasis on what makes all the characters unique. Here, you are the uniqueness. What you contribute to the play space is what is considered unique. So to illustrate what I'm talking about, I'm actually going to read some key points that get repeated from the lore for these characters. Now, I know, it's surprising. There's actually lore. They wrote lore for the recruits. Not a lot of people read the Siege lore. However, it's one of those things where, like any live service game's writing, it tends to be, a bit of a Schrodinger's argument. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. It looks like that's how you say it, so I don't care. It's a bit of a flip-flop argument where, well, it's a live service game, so no one reads the lore. Who cares? Which implies that it's fine if it's not the best or most fleshed out thing in the world. So then lore gets added. I don't know how many steps this page went through to get here. I honestly have no clue. I can't tell you the hours or the approval process for any of this. I don't work at Ubisoft. But once it gets approved, it's simultaneously a waste of time, so I don't care. Nobody's reading this. But then when you want to complain about it, well, I do care. Tom Clancy's rolling in his grave. Or something. So I would like to read some key points here from both of these pages And you tell me if you think it's bad writing or what. So here we go. Very brief. I'm not going to read the whole thing. All of these recruits hail from the most elite of elite military and counter-terror institutions. They all know that Rainbow is a cut above and treat the organization with the respect and discipline it demands. So that's Striker. Sharp turn. Look at you, girl. Let me see that again. Sheesh. I mean, get her on the drill team stat, right? Like, here. Here's Sentry. They are made up of a varied group with many personalities, backgrounds, heights, weights, languages, and skill sets. They come from a variety of military and police backgrounds and have distinct goals they are pursuing within the organization. Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, let's look at the design, right? Like, what is there to complain about the design here? Does this, like, not look tactical military guy enough? I'm trying to figure out what about it wouldn't be. You got the helmet, nameless, faceless guy with an AR platform gun, pouches, right? Like, let's go back to Striker. God, that's so clean, that turn. Crazy. Right, you have the climbing harness. Comms. What's the issue? Is there an issue? Org. ROS. There's that old patch from, like, when did the book come out? I always forget. 1998? So, yeah, like old school lore, and we're kind of digging into that. One of the things that always gets brought up when it comes to, you know, if you want to yap and get irritated about the direction the game has gone in, is that it's turned into like Overwatch or something. And I think that ignores that different teams at these companies that work on these games, you can see kind of, you know, more or less who was in the office at the time when the characters were getting drawn up. So you can see here, tactical, right? And then we go back here about a year or two beforehand, and it's like, okay, all right. I mean, right? So a live service game is the sum of its parts, right? It's not just one unified glob that sort of is what it is, right? You have a ton of different people that go through the building at any particular moment in time, and just like running any organization, right? Whether that's a country or a company or a charity organization, right? Depending on who is in management, it's going to have a different approach. And so from what I can understand, based off of looking at this and reading this and looking at that, I get the impression that the creative team is making a concerted effort, has been making a concerted effort to get back to Rainbow's roots. Whatever you want to call that, I'm not going to be the judge of that. I'm not going to stand here and look at you in the face and say, hey, you know, like Fenrir is totally similar to this character, right? I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is that out of all the live service games that are on the market currently, and if we're not looking at this in bad faith, if we want to talk about the game in good faith, we're going to compare it among its competition. We're not going to compare it to what it was during the Clinton administration, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. These are two different products, right? Rainbow Six in 1998 and Rainbow Six in 2024, two different things. But if we compare it to everything else that's in the live service market, I just don't really see how this game, as it stands, is like cartoony or has lost its whatever you want to call it in 2024. And that doesn't mean that the creative team can't make decisions that I disagree with, but it does mean that there is at least an awareness of the critiques that people have had to say about the game for a long time. And I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. It could go one way or the other. Next patch or the patch after or a year from now, we could get, you know, the most bizarre, outlandish, ridiculous design I've ever seen. And then people will come back to this video and go, wow, gee, you know, way to completely call that wrong, even though I didn't make a claim one way or the other. Right? I'm just pointing out that something is different. And I don't know if that is going to have ramifications throughout the rest of the building and what the creative department is working on. But I will just say, regardless of the drama concerning this particular patch, I would like to see more leaning into this, because I think it is in line with what Rainbow Six, Tom Clancy, right? Those key phrases. I think it's more in line with what people have a mental image of those words in their head. And I think that art design does matter. I think that presentation does matter. I can't do anything about the skins, right? Like Pizza Mozzie, that will never go away. I think if you're going to play a live service multiplayer game and you don't like the skins and all that, then I'm afraid the genre might just not be for you anymore. Because that's the business model that's making so much money. If it didn't work, then it wouldn't sell. But all I'm going to say is, I think the designs are cool. And I don't think that's irrelevant. So thanks for listening to me yap about Operation New Blood. Thanks again to Ubisoft for sponsoring. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.